So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad to see y'all because I was like, am I going to have over one person in here? I find that when I go out and do fairs and take me a table, set up a table for whatever, if it was hospice or the funeral home or my burial insurance that I saw, people would go past me like this. And I'd be like, why are you going past me like that? They didn't want to deal with it. Okay, they didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to have anything to do with getting things prepared. But guess what? What's inevitable? Death and taxes, right? Right. So there will come a point where you will have to make some decisions for yourself, okay? And you will need to make sure that you have things in order. There is a plan for everything, okay? We talk about going to heaven. We talk about eternal life. But y'all do know we have to leave here to see that, right? To experience that, okay? So this workshop is simply going to provide you with valuable information while planning for the end of life's journey and the importance of preparation. I'm going to tell you some stories in between doing my presentation of some of the things that I have encountered while working in hospice as well as working for a funeral home. And everybody said, "Oh my God, you work for hospice." They get so sad. They always go, "Oh, you worked at the funeral home. Oh, how did you do it?" Well, somebody's got to do it, okay? And I find that African Americans, I can all talk about us. I find that we don't want to talk about it. You know, we want to live forever. But we go into heaven and we want eternal life. So the two ain't gonna go together, okay? So my thing is that I wanted to talk to you about being proactive instead of reactive. Now it's a downfall, can be for both, okay? We just know people are people and they're gonna do what they wanna do, okay? So being proactive simply means, my definitions that are up here state, creating or controlling a situation by causing something to happen rather than responding to it after it has happened, okay? And then being reactive is acting in response to a situation rather than creating this space to have it controlled, okay? So with everything in life, there are pros and cons. I said that again. While working in hospice care and in the funeral industry, it is important to have a plan. I will deal with two approaches today with situations surrounding planning, okay? Like I said, the proactive approach is having a plan so that you can kind of be in control, know what's going on, and then the reactive plan is that I didn't get anything together, and now I'm facing all of this. I'm facing sickness, I'm facing an accident that caused severe injury, or I'm facing the planning of someone's funeral, okay? And so it's great to have that plan together, okay? The proactive approach is taking the initiative and anticipating potential problems or opportunities before they arise. On the other side of the spectrum, reactive involves responding to the situation after they occur. While both proactive and reactive approaches have their merits, understanding their attributes can help us make more informed choices as it relates to life planning. Go to the next slide. One thing that I know that you deal with when you have to be faced with a situation is just grief and stress, okay? To me, grief and stress don't go together, okay? Because when I'm grieving, I need to have something already in place so that I'm not stressed out to the point where I got to deal with both of these at the same time, okay? Because when you have a situation where someone gets a terminal diagnosis, like we get in hospice all the time. Anybody have any experience with hospice care? So yeah, I had to deal with hospice care for my mother, and I've been working in hospice for coming up this next year will be my 15th year as an administrator. And so Hospice is a great thing. Okay, let me say that right off the bat. A lot of people think when you think about hospice, you think, oh, I'm getting ready to die. We've had people on hospice that were on hospice for 3 years. They met the criteria for hospice, which is you get the terminal diagnosis of 6 to 12 months to live. That's if the disease takes its natural course. Okay, what you can get on hospice for: cancer, ALS, which is the Lou Gehrig's disease, and then end-stage renal disease. Those are some of the diseases that if you have a doctor and he doesn't see a plan as far as you healing, then that's your outcome, okay? And hospice is comfort care only. It is not curative care. Curative care ceases at that point. So every measure that they have tried to get for you or your loved one, at that point the doctor is saying, we don't see a way that we can continue on with the curative measures. So we'll go to the comfort measures to make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're in your home or wherever you are. They just want to make sure you're in a good space so that you can prepare to transition to the end of life, okay? And another thing I was saying was with the grief, that's gonna happen. Okay, we're humans, so we're gonna grieve, okay? But if you don't have a plan, then that leads to what? Stress, okay? If you don't have anything planned out, if you're not ready for what's gonna be the inevitable, you're gonna be on 10, as I say. You're gonna be trying to figure everything out. And then one thing that I found when you don't have that plan laid out is then there's that financial piece, okay? Cost to die. I said that earlier. It's expensive. Healthcare is expensive. Death is expensive. All of it is very expensive. Okay, and y'all see what's been going on in the government lately? They're trying to kill different things. Medicare, Medicaid. They're trying to do a lot of different things. So we're finding ourselves in a lot of financial burden trying to get ready for things. But I just tell everybody, make sure you have something. And GoFundMe is not a plan.
Okay.
How many have experienced somebody saying, can you donate to my GoFundMe? And not even just the GoFundMe, can you pass the hat? Have y'all experienced that? Yeah, it's like, that's a lot. That adds to that stress, okay? I'm gonna tell y'all why I got so, my passion began to be helping people get ready for the inevitable. I went to a funeral one time, and the young lady that had passed away was a sister of a friend, and they had passed a hat, basically, to pay for the service. And a guy got up and he said, now y'all, we pay $200 a month for cable and won't even get any life insurance for our families. Y'all, you're planning so that those that are left behind that have to make these arrangements and take care of things for you will have a financial plan so that they can make sure that if they have the life insurance or if they have some money in the bank. Let me talk about the money in the bank too. So if you've got money in the bank, make sure you put down a beneficiary, because they will not let anybody come into your bank account at that point, okay? So a good thing could be, and this is just a suggestion, let me disclaimer, I am not an attorney, I only play one on TV. But the thing is that if you've got a beneficiary on your bank account, then that person can have, and I would say have a primary beneficiary and a contingent beneficiary. Just in case something happens to your primary beneficiary, you have a contingent that can step in case the primary is not available. Yes, ma'am.
I recently have gone to this.
Yes,
and I'm working on getting my things in order.
Yes, ma'am.
I lost my husband last year.
Okay.
And I was payment upon death, but what you find with payment upon death, you have to have that death certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
But what helped was the fact that we both had 401s.
Yeah.
And I knew that I would get sick, but I had enough in mind and I could withdraw whatever I needed to take care of what I needed to take care of.
Yes.
But what I did for myself, my bank account, because we didn't have any kids, I put my nephew on my bank account, not as payment upon death, but if anything happened, he can write a check or do whatever needs to be done. Because with my husband, he was in ICU for 2 weeks. He had a stroke. Well, bills still had to be paid. There were bills that he paid and bills that I paid. But one thing he did not do, he did not believe in online banking.
Okay.
I did. So
Okay.
while he was in the hospital, because I knew his bank account number,
Yeah.
I set him up for online banking so I could take care of the bills that he was responsible for paying until he passed.
That's good and that's smart. That's why I said like having a plan, making sure that, and here's the big part of the plan. Let me say this, talking to each other.
Amen.
It's okay to sit down and have a conversation. I can tell you that conversation means everything. I work in healthcare, and there's one thing about healthcare. When you document something, if you don't document it, it never happened. Okay, so you can be doing everything in the world right, you can do everything great, but if they don't see any documentation, it never happened. So it's a good thing also to sit down when you're discussing, let me just say this real quick, I just want to throw this in. I sell pre-need insurance, like the burial insurance, and we'll get into the type of insurances real quick. But I used to sit down with people with a planning guide. I let them talk and I wrote, because that gives you a chance to talk about your wishes. Talk about what you want. Do you want to have a traditional funeral service? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be? Are you a person that if you get in a severe accident or if you something happens to you, your health goes down, you get a terminal diagnosis. Do you want life-saving measures, or do you want to just go peacefully? Y'all, these are things we don't want to talk about, but we need to talk about them because it's going to happen. Unless you get caught up in the rapture, you're going to have a plan, okay? And we know the rapture could come at any time.
Yeah.
But I'm saying until then, until the Lord cracks open the sky, go ahead and have you a plan in place. Because what I do know, I'm going to tell you what I do know. A lack of any kind of plan, a lack of finances, the stress, it can cause the best of families to fall out. Okay? You could be so tight with your sister. And your sister may want Big Mama to be cremated, and you may want her to be buried. But did anybody ask Big Mama what she wanted? And did anybody put it in writing?
All right.
Okay? And y'all, it ain't just Big Mama that's leaving and getting sick. I went to 3 funerals last month, and everybody I went to was 50, in their 50s. So, I'm telling you, everybody can walk away, can leave. God can call you home. Okay, so you really need to have a plan. I saw a situation where a lady, and I'm just telling y'all stuff so y'all can keep this in the forefront of your mind. I was working at the funeral home. Me, I'm sitting there, I have looks on my face that I be trying to hide, but y'all, this lady had been married to this man for X amount of years. They broke up, but they never got a divorce. Okay? He had moved on. He had him a new woman. They had been together 13 years. And he passed away. Y'all know what happened? The wife was the legal next of kin.
Yep.
And she made herself appear. And she said to us, if he had wanted to divorce me, he would have. But he ain't been with you for 20 years. He been with someone else. Y'all, this lady was very vindictive. That's all I can say about it, because she came to us and said, I want him cremated immediately. His mama couldn't see him. His siblings couldn't see him. His children couldn't see him. Because guess what? She was the legal next of kin. And we had to cremate it. Y'all understand how important a plan is?
Yeah, Terry, that happened to a lady in church with her daughter. Same thing, but it was her daughter hadn't divorced the husband. He came in very vindictive. She had already planned the funeral. He came in and said, I want to cremate it, and got all those assets and scrambled.
Y'all got that?
Yes. It's also show the legal part of it too.
Yes.
Legal aspect.
Yes. So if you ain't with somebody, and you don't plan on getting back with them,
Cut him.
what that song say? You need to cut it. You really do, because it'll cause all kind of problems. It is nothing. I have literally wiped tears at the funeral home watching families fight. And they go low. They go dirty low. They fight over a little or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like mama or daddy was no millionaires. They might have had $2 in the bank, but they fighting over it because there was no plan. So I just ask that get your plan together so you can stay safe. Okay, get your plan together so you can stay safe. Yes, ma'am.
There was a term used in this payment upon death. What is that definition?
Well, payment upon death is like she was saying, she didn't have it set up like that. She had it set up where if something happened, or they had something, if it happened, she could still, the checks could be written, the bank could still, you still had access to that account, to that money. Payment upon death is probably just what it sounds like. It's just straight no chaser. You get the money, it's over. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Because, when he passed, they freeze everything.
They freeze it.
Not have access. So payment upon death, I cannot do anything until I get his death certificate. Okay. Thank you. So one good thing about my husband, excuse me.
Can y'all speak up?
Oh, I was just asking if she has to pay his bills once he dies.
Okay, one good thing about my husband, he didn't have any credit cards, so there was no bill. Medical bills, every time they sent me a medical bill, I gave them a copy of the death certificate. When he passed, a friend of mine suggested make 10 copies, so I had 10 copies of the death certificate.
And I was gonna say, if anybody wanted to come up, we got some more seats up here, so y'all don't have to sit so far back.
And I don't mean to take over your work.
No. I wanted it to be interactive, and I wanted to be where you guys could share your experiences, because it's a lot of stuff happening right now. And it's a lot of people that are out here that are so stressed out because they don't have anything together. I'm coming to y'all. You can be like I said, you can be the best of families. I've seen some of the closest people fall out because they didn't have anything in place, and they got mad at each other, and that's sad to me. And I can tell you from my own loss, a year ago, my mother always told us to stay together no matter what, you know, and me and my siblings, we made a promise to her and to each other that we weren't gonna let anything separate us, you know, not anything, because at the end of the day, after this is all over with, I still want my family around. You know, to me, my family means everything, so I don't wanna fall out with them. I had 2 questions, okay?
I just had a comment
Okay.
about my situation. Last year, it was my first time at this conference, and when I was in the war room, I had this situation. My brother passed on, but he had 2 insurance policies where he had put minors on the insurance policies as the beneficiary. And so my mom, who was grieving so, I just paid for the burial, paid for the funeral, and then I was expecting the baby mama of the young minor children to give my money back from the $150,000 policies, and she just would not. It was a long, drawn out thing, and I was trying to work on forgiveness, and I have gotten there, but we were talking about in the other class about reconciliation. I have not reconciled with my nieces and nephews as they have gotten old, 18, and gotten their share of the money and not paid me back. And they're saying still what their mom has said, that wasn't what my brother, that's what was the whole issue. Well, you know, it was a lot, but I say, think about the decisions that you're making when, I just was thinking, oh, we're all cool. They love me, I love them, they're gonna pay me back, but no.
And there's something about money that don't make us cool no more. You know what? I had one back here, Leontine.
I say this in love to us, and you mentioned it when you talked about even opening up the dialogue. We as people of color, we don't wanna, we okay with, what you call them things, GoFundMe's and all that kind of stuff. I'm not married, but the gentleman that I date, when we first started dating, the intent was to be married. So we both went and got our wills done. We both went and got our power of attorney. We went and got our medical power of attorney. But my will spells out what I want. And then I went and I got me a little $10,000 policy so that my children, just in case that's, you know, if I'm not married, what it is I expect. Because I'm okay being cremated. I know people of color, we got issues about being cremated. I came from the creator. I want to stop over at the corner, drop me back off at the cremator, and then send me back to the creator. That's my program. But I don't have all day. I don't want my children arguing. I don't want them to have to go find no resources. So if we can spend money on these purses, that the purse lady, if we can go spend money on, I found out about purple jeans. What purple jeans is $1 million jeans. I didn't realize it was $375. It's a brand new jeans, purple jeans. And they started like $375, something like that. If we can spend that kind of money, we can, when you explain that pre-burial service that you talked about, I think we need to be conscious of that and not put our family through the financial stress so that don't nobody, like this sister here, she said she had to pay for them services and nobody gave the children guidance on giving back her resources or anything like that. Right. We need to be responsible, good stewards. God tells us to be good stewards of the resources. That's being a good steward too.
And one thing about it is like I said, when you have that money, when money changes hands and stuff like that, it can cause a lot of problems. You know, it causes some people to really just, you know, you find out what people are really all about at some point. You know, and it's sad that we can't do it and have our plan together. That's why I put plan for your future needs, take action. You know, don't go to another event, don't listen to another person tell you about it. I need you to be about it.
Yes.
Okay? Make sure when you go back, make sure you have your stuff in order. I'm coming to the questions. And knowing people's final wishes. You know, it doesn't take anything to sit down with somebody and say, hey, you could, I brought some books that a friend of mine, she's a black author in Dallas, and and she has a final estate planning book that she sent with me. She sells these, she makes these, where you can put this book together and make sure you have something together that you can give to your children. You can give to your spouse. You can give to your whoever you. Some people don't have family members over their stuff. They may have a friend that they trust, that they want the friend to handle everything. So you can have everything in writing. One thing my mom did for the grandkids, she had a book, and it was about her. You know, it was questions about your grandmother. So they would know. We had a great grandbaby that was born the day my mom was buried. They would never get to meet her. They would never get to see her. But she put this book together that talked all the way from her childhood to when she got married, when she went to college, when she, had each one of us and her aspirations in life. That's a good way for them to know the person that passes on that they didn't get to spend any time with. So that's a form of planning as well. I saw some hands. Did I see some hands?
Yeah, mine.
Yeah, come on.
Two questions, I don't know if you've answered them or not, I'm gonna speak on them.
Okay.
One is, should you have a will and how do you get that?
Mm-hmm.
And then what goes in it, right? And then the next one is, my son is out of incarceration. And they would offer me insurance for him. And so, is that real? Is it even possible? And what do you do?
It is. I'll talk to you about it, especially the part about the wheels. We're going to talk about that a little later. But yeah, it is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Insurance companies don't want to do insurance policies on incarcerated people.
Wow.
Okay? And that's a whole nother situation. Okay? As far as if you have a loved one that's incarcerated. Because I wrote pre-needs and they wouldn't let me write them.
Is there a reason for that? I mean, they still need insurance, they still need to be buried.
They say somebody can kill them.
It's a high risk.
Yeah.
It's very high risk. Even if you try to get somebody a policy that's on drugs.
Well, how do they know?
Or does the insurance know at that point that they have?
The goal for insurance companies, which most of you may not know and some of you might know, is just to take your money. Their goal is not to pay out. So when I tested to be an insurance agent, that was one of the things in there, that they had restrictions. And if you know they have that restriction, you cannot write that policy. So that's the unfortunate thing about insurance. It is just to pay them, not for them.
And then let me talk about what you were saying about how would they know?
On top.
Because no, they're gonna do. Okay, so let me give you this scenario. You get an insurance policy. You know you had cancer, but you didn't tell them that you had cancer. Okay. Some of these policies go back to get a medical history before they pay. So they're gonna see that you lied, and then they're not gonna pay out. So it's just best to make sure when you get something, have some integrity. You know that person is strung out on drugs. Don't leave that little tidbit of information out. Because guess what? They're gonna find out. Because the insurance now does not want to hardly pay out. Their goal is to get your premiums, but they're there if it's needed, okay? I ain't gonna say that it's not. Yes, ma'am.
Well, what I was gonna add is that it's an exclusion, and so they have the right to request medical, like your medical, something from the doctor saying what your thing is, and they pay people to read through your medical history to see if they can deny it, because if it's excluded, you signed a document saying that you don't have these exclusions, and so they're not gonna pay you if it's excluded.
When I first moved back to Texas, in 2014, I had been diagnosed with uterine and cervical cancer. So when I left Memphis, then I had good insurance, I had everything. This is another situation. Oh, God, I had so much, I couldn't even think of all the stuff I wanted to say today. But when I had to get some insurance because I left my job and all of that stuff behind in Tennessee, I couldn't get any insurance here. Because one of the questions was, and at my age, have you ever had cancer? Have you had cancer in the last 10 years? When I said I had cancer, I kept getting denied. It was like, we can't cover you. You have to be cancer-free for 10 years for us to cover you. And it hadn't been 10 years. I literally bawled like a baby because I was like, I could die tomorrow and I don't have anything. I'm gonna leave my family in a lurch. So, that's how passionate I am about making sure that we have something in place. Okay, yes ma'am.
Excuse me. I wondered if there's a clearinghouse or anything that tells whether a person has insurance or not.
And you know what? I thought I tried to find that, is there somewhere I can go to see if we don't know what your insurance information is there a way we can find out? And I haven't found anything. If y'all know of something like a clearinghouse, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and if they could, because they called me, one of my dear friends, they found her brother dead, estranged from the family for years. But her name was the next of kin. So they're out of state, all the way in Florida, she's in Ohio. We don't know whether there's insurance. We know nothing because all the police knew was next of kin, and it was just, they just found a bed in the house.
It was his house they found him dead in?
That's where he lived.
If they were employed, you can go to the employer to find out if there was some health insurance with the employer.
But she doesn't have any, she's saying she don't have any information. Yeah. She doesn't know anything about anything.
But the police should be able to tell her where he lives, and then she should be able to get into the house and.
But she doesn't even know if that was his home that he was found in. They don't know.
So most states, individual states, and I'm saying most, not all, have a clearinghouse. There's not a national clearinghouse, but there are state clearinghouses. And the way I found that out was when Latrina's mom passed away, we were looking.
Oh, y'all were in that
we were
situation.
looking to see if she has other insurances. So
And see, I learn something every day because it's like,
states.
I've had people to ask me and I said, well, let me figure out how we can do this,
There are states,
good
there
information.
are some states that have.
So it's not, it's per your state, yeah.
Some states have
Okay.
it, some states don't, so you just need to
Okay.
call your state and see if they have it. And some insurance companies, because they have to register the insurance companies,
The Texas Department of Insurance, I know we have the TDI in Texas, but it's limited on what information they're gonna give you.
you have to
Because
have a death certificate.
Yeah. that the death certificate is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more question up here and I'm gonna move on because I know we're running out of time.
This is a quick question. I was just gonna piggyback on, what you just, she spoke about incarceration. I want to know if a person had insurance, life insurance prior to incarceration, when they're incarcerated, does it lapse, does it drop, can it still pay out if something
You
happens?
still pay, if it's an active and up-to-date policy,
Okay, so.
yeah, I would see that it would pay. If you got an active insurance policy on someone. It's just that if you don't have one and you're trying to get one, it's very difficult. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about, how much? 6 minutes. Okay. Did you move to the next slide? Okay, so Camille's gonna put this on a QR code, and we're gonna send this out to whoever wants it, so you can go through it. We got some notes and everything, and let me go through it real quick. And advanced directive. So we're talking about durable power of attorney.
Put the mic to your mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. The advanced directives, we talking about durable power of attorney, financial and healthcare. So that's a durable power of attorney, financial, one for healthcare. But let me say something about this real quick. So you can be the POA for somebody, but when they die, that ceases. Okay, so your POA is no good after death. But it's a good thing to have, because if you get to a point where you can't make decisions for yourself, then you'll have somebody that you trust, a healthcare proxy, or somebody that can take care of your wishes, okay? There are people that they want every life-saving measure that there is. You know, if I get sick, if something happened to me, I want y'all to do tube feeding, I want y'all to do, give me CPR, I want y'all to do everything. Then there are some people that want to be do not resuscitate, okay? Do not resuscitate simply means that if I have a heart attack, if I go into cardiac arrest, then don't try to revive me, okay? Yes, ma'am.
But that could be, you can say that as a, but sometimes if the doctor feels there's a light there, they'll do it anyway.
No. If you have a DNR on file with your hospital or with your agency or your hospice or whatever, they cannot do that. They cannot, no. Because those are your wishes to not be, now you might have a family member in there clowning, but if you have do not resuscitate on your paperwork, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to give you CPR. They're not going to give you tube feeding to keep you alive. They're going to let you die peacefully, okay? Or however you going out. So they're going to let you die. Yes, Nisa?
I think this is very good to have these conversations with your children, especially those of us who have children. Like, I think Terry, she came over a few years ago and we set up and we did a pre-need, my husband and I. And we were 60 at the time, but you know, I brought my son and my daughter in and let them sit there while we were doing the paperwork. They didn't want to sit there, but we didn't want to talk about it. It says dysfunctional not to talk about it. I said, because I want you to know, I don't want my kids to cry twice. So I want you to know what our wishes are, write it all down and put it on file with the funeral home. I want you to know, you bury me something other than my royal blue dress, I'm gonna haunt you. Don't have no funeral chicken at my funeral. I wrote all that down. It's all down here.
And you know what? Another thing I want to suggest to you that are single mothers that have younger children, don't leave them to make those decisions. Because they ain't gonna know what to do. You want to get it in place for them so that when you pass, and you can have another, like a sister, a brother, or somebody that can stand with them, but you want to make sure you have something for these, because I think I ain't putting down the younger people now, but I don't think they're thinking about nothing like that. You know, we were kind of different growing up. We were cooking and cleaning up. Remember, Mama them say, don't let me get home at 3 and this house ain't clean. Don't let me come back and y'all laying around here doing nothing. We had that kind of mother wit and stuff like that. I'm not saying anything against anybody that has young kids. Please hear me. I'm just saying that's heavy to leave for a young person to try to deal with. Okay, because they're going to be processing that you're not here any longer. Or you had a massive heart attack and you in ICU. And they have to make a decision for you. Okay? So just make sure I'm going to run through this, y'all. We'll hold the questions. We don't have that much time. The post, the real estate, plant and living. Okay, Belinda, my friend that I brought for the first time to the conference. I am officially an ambassador. They didn't recognize me, but I am. Anyway, Belinda works with an attorney in Dallas, and they just had a seminar to help people get their wills together. Okay? So I wanted her to just real quick touch on the will aspect of it. Like we said at the beginning, disclaimer, we are not attorneys. We are people that love to see people have things in order.
Yeah.
Okay, and we get a lot of information. So Belinda, if you give them a few minutes.
On your slides.
Okay, so pardon my seat. Okay, so quickly, let's see.
Go back to the advanced directive.
All right.
We were gonna talk about wheels.
Yeah, I was hating that you didn't do that part. There's no wheel, y'all.
This is my wheel. I mean, if I gotta die, I wanna have wheels.
I told her she was so wrong for that.
Not if I gotta go.
Somebody wants to know what the POLST is.
Okay, let me tell you what that is. And I learned about this. Y'all see, I told you I'm learning too. Here we go. Let me tell you this real quick. I didn't put it in my notes. Hang on a second. This is for my advanced directives. And it was similar to the power of attorney.
And is there something about the trust in his PowerPoint too, or?
We so limited on time, y'all. I'm sorry.
I understand.
The POLST is simply like a durable power of attorney. That's what that is. It's the exact same thing almost as a power of attorney. It's there for someone to take care of your final wishes. And I'm gonna give you the exact words. I'm sorry, y'all.
It says physician order for life sustaining treatment.
Yeah, and that's just like kind of your durable power of attorney. It goes to your healthcare team, and that lets them know what you want as far as your life-sustaining things. Okay, the life-sustaining. Do you want to be on tube feedings? Do you want these life-saving measures done if something happens to you? Okay.
Now what is POL?
Say, give me that. I'm sorry.
Life
Physician order for life sustaining treatment.
And it is a order that's given to your healthcare team, like your doctor, to say whether or not you want these life-saving measures. Like if I get sick to the point I want tube feedings.
Go to the doctor.
You know, I can't eat, so they're gonna put a tube in me to feed me. That's what you're telling them. And they're gonna make those things happen for you. That's why I say it's so good to have everything in writing. Okay, even your DNR. If you don't want to be resuscitated, you need to sign a DNR before you go in. Because otherwise, they're gonna try the CPR. You know how they say they push down so hard on you for CPR that sometimes they crack your ribs?
Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah.
If you never watched that.
If you've never seen CPR.
It's horrifying to watch.
Yeah, we had a girlfriend actually the lady that introduced me to the Church of Christ, because I was in the Baptist church before I came to Church of Christ in '86. She collapsed in her yard. And they got her in the ambulance to do CPR to try to sustain. The whole ambulance was shaking from right to left because they were doing such hard chest compressions on her to try to bring her back. She subsequently passed. But it was so horrifying to see the ambulance going like that because they were pressing so hard, and they have to do that to get your heart back pumping. Yeah, CPR training will show you got to work, and they did it for like 45 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. CPR training is important for everyone. Because I was in a situation at work, this is 30 years ago, and actually someone started choking on a chicken bone. I was able to do it upright because I was by myself and get it out, or else she would have died. That would be more scary. So you should know it even for your children and other family members in your house.
Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all, we almost done because I want to give y'all some time to go get ready for tonight.
Okay, so this is about the will. The will is very important. It's that thing that you can put in place that is going to let people know what your wishes are. So the key elements of the will is the testator or testatrix. So that means, most of the time is known as a testator, which is you, the owner. And that is the male form, and the testatrix is female. Some people use it, some people don't, so it's no big deal. Then you want to designate beneficiaries. Having beneficiaries will save you a lot of times. It can even save you from going to probate. And then you want to appoint an executor or an executrix, which is another male-female term. Somebody that you can trust to do what you need them to do. And that person is going to be responsible for making all of your wishes done. And that works too when you have children, young minor children, somebody that you can trust that'll be there. And then other options, which like she said, we are not attorneys, but you can do trust for minor children. Then there's guardianship, because you're gonna go in there and put what you want, who you want to have what you want. Your assets or like your property. Some people can get very detailed on that. You make specific bequests, because you can get very specific on what you want, who you want to have what you want. And then there's your residuary estate. So the purpose of it is, as I said, to distribute any of your assets. So that's anything from, I've had one where the wife just said, give it to my husband, everything. Then you have some, I want this child to have a boat, this child to have a car, this child to have this, or money, 20%, 30%. We've had them all ranges, yes. Then you appoint guardians. Then it does help minimize disputes, at least you hope so. But at least they can say, well, Big Mama said this is what she wants. Charitable giving, some people give to charities. They don't even give to the family, but it is your right to do so. And then, of course, your selection of an executor. And it's not always a person. Some people do companies, banks, insurance companies. You know, it just depends. Some people don't have family or other members that they want to engage with. The legal and practical considerations about that is with local laws, you know, different states can have different guidelines about different things. Let's see. Wanted to make sure. Okay, so with local laws, estate laws differ by jurisdiction. And then tax implications. If there's estate and inheritance taxes, it might affect the distribution. So we have to tell people if, you know, I think one of you asked about that, if you owe somebody, and especially taxes, things of that nature, that they're gonna liquidate their estate first and take care of those things. Then your heirs or your beneficiaries or whoever, then they will take that money and divide it however. But they're going to make sure. And so a lot of times people try to avoid probate because it can be expensive, but probate can save you too. And it's not just to promote an attorney, but most attorneys will help you with those things you may not be that sure about, okay? And that's the professional guidance.
Types of life insurance.
Okay.
We're gonna do the types of life insurance, and then I just want to talk to y'all about a couple of things as far, we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
And like I said, Camille's gonna get this in a QR code, and we'll send it out to anybody that wants it so you can look at it. I was just gonna go, there are different types of life insurance. Most people get term life policies because they're like a cheaper premium. But the term can end at any time. One thing I need you to know is if you've got a term policy, keep up with that policy, because I've had people to come in the funeral home with that policy and it was no good because it had turned, okay? It may be a 10-year term, a 20-year term, a 30-year term, and there is no cash value tied to a term policy, okay? If you pay on it and then you go into the funeral home with that policy and they check that policy when they do the call to the insurance company to get your services paid for, they may say that policy is done. It expired, matured, there's nothing, we can't do anything with that policy, okay? And then the rest of the policies, the whole life, universal life, burial, funeral insurance, pre-need, these policies are permanent policies, okay? And a cash value is tied to the whole life, universal, even the burial and funeral insurance. So, survivorship. This is a policy that I learned on and studied on, that it can be like a couple take this policy out, but it won't pay until to another beneficiary until both of you pass, okay? So when the husband and wife pass, if you get this survivorship joint policy and you leave it to your child, you both have to pass before this one pays, okay? This mortgage policy is insurance you can get on your mortgage. Nobody gets it but the lender, okay? The lender gets it and it pays off the house, okay? So if you got somebody staying with you or you want to leave the house to your kids, that would be a good policy to have as well. Credit life, you hear about this type of insurance, it's like if you get it on your vehicle or on something like that, it'll pay it off upon your death, okay? And then that would be, the debt would be paid, okay? And then supplemental usually comes through your employer, okay? And let me say this about the employees. You having just insurance with your employer. How many people that got laid off here lately? If you only have your company life insurance or group life insurance or something like that, when you leave, most of the time, that either goes to a COBRA. So COBRA is gonna be so astronomical, you can't hardly pay it, or it's gonna just cancel out. And now some of the insurance companies that you get through your job, they do offer you like a supplemental extended, and it's not as high of a premium, but you can keep it, okay? But I always suggest that if you have a policy through your job, that you get another policy, okay? Get something else that you can have on the side, because if that job were, and it's a lot of people losing their jobs nowadays. So think about all those people that have been let go, that had their insurance through those jobs. Okay.
Your job lets you convert your insurance.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Your jobs are supposed to, the insurance you're paying, whatever the company, they convert your insurance when you leave.
Some of them do. Some of them don't. Some of them do.
Good insurance, right?
Yeah, you have good one. But some companies, and even like with health and medical insurance, when you leave or they let you go, it's a wrap. It's done. And then they'll send you a COBRA out, and the insurance is probably 2.5 times more than what you were paying. Maybe 3 times to 5 times more than what you were paying. Well, let me have one more thing she wanted to say, and I just want to thank y'all so much. I couldn't get to everything because I had some information for those that are veterans, spouses of a veteran. Make sure, I just want to say this, if you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, get that DD 214.
Exactly.
Because that DD 214 is gonna be needed when you get ready to make those funeral arrangements. And if you don't have it, you can go to www.va.gov and ask for the eligibility. Look for eligibility and they'll help you get a DD 214.